Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Canberra Football Show, episode 82. Quite a lot of very, very interesting results this weekend as we're about to break down. Remember, this is the first full week of football after the finals last week, so quite a few teams had a weekend off, even though there were a couple of catch-up matches. So we have some interesting results to break down, don't we, Michael? And how's it going?
We certainly do have some interesting results to break down. And look, man, I could obviously be a lot better. Could be in a bit more of a happier mood.
I'm chirpy. I'm very, very happy.
Look,
As a Juve
I-
fan, very happy.
it's one thing to have, you know, one of my teams play in a cup final, but I had obviously Man United play Man City in the FA Cup final, and then a week later had Inter in the Champions League final that just wrapped up against City. So I was hoping, at least give me one of those. Give me one, but ultimately proved to be empty-handed. So
As always, next season, as I
not,
said.
not in the best of moods, obviously. I don't love seeing City win titles, and that's all that they seem to do these days. So just got to live with it, unfortunately.
Yep, that's it. And as I say, there's always next season. Probably not for Inter in the Champions League, I'd say. Maybe
Mate,
United in the FA Cup, maybe. We'll see.
yeah, look, I'm gonna dream. Football's all about dreaming, mate.
Hey, it's just like me with Juve winning any sort of European trophy, mate. We can always dream.
Exactly.
We're in the Conference League, but are we going to win that? Probably not. So
But you never know. You got to
I'd take it. I'd take it. Look at West Ham's
Yeah, look,
happiness of winning the Conference League. That
first,
I would take that as a Juve fan. Russ would give me so much shit for saying that right there. He
first
was banging on
trophy.
about West Ham. So any West Ham fan,
Yeah,
message
40,
Russ and tell
first
him how
trophy
much
in
you love that
43 years
Conference League.
or something, wasn't it? First trophy in 43 years for
Yeah, and
West Ham.
then first European trophy in like 60 years or something like that. It
Yep.
means a lot. West Ham fans tell Russ how much it means, mate, because he was off camera. He was appalled at how he's like good on them for winning, but he just kept like he
Yeah.
said like, mate, why do they have to celebrate for a week? He's like Argentina celebrated less than that. So yeah, if you're a West Ham fan, tell Russ what you think about West Ham and win
Yeah.
that title. Let's get started. And talking about when Russ told me that was the match that I'm about to break down now. An absolute thriller. What is it between these two clubs, Michael? Just whenever they play, it's just you can never guarantee a certain result going into stoppage time. Let's leave it that way. Or getting close to stoppage time. Well, actually, no, at stoppage time in this one. It was Tigers 4, Canberra Croatia 4 at the AIS. Russ and I called this one. Canberra Croatia were arguably the better team in the first half. Ahmed Shaibu scored the opener 15 minutes into the contest as he got himself on the end of a great ball from Dominici, struck it first time, but it was well cleared, and Lookman was not going to miss the follow-up from that. Tigers came out of the blocks much better in the second half. They ended up taking the lead with within a minute of each other. The first goal came via Emilia Kishta from the penalty spot after a strong Daniel Sparrow challenge. It was a bit controversial at the time. Just from the reactions I saw, Ogawa scored the second after this to put his side in front after receiving the ball from a silky backheel from Kishta, so a bit of skills there from Kishta. Croatia went level 18 minutes later and got a penalty of their own after Ahmed Shaibu stepped up from the penalty spot for the second time, because the first time it was superbly saved by Jacob Cole. However, the linesman signalled that he came off his line early, to his and Tigers' dismay, after the initial penalty as well. So both penalties were received a bit controversially, more than most penalties are anyway. So yeah, that was it. That was a goal there for Croatia. Tigers restored their lead though 13 minutes later from another penalty kick. This one was probably, as Russ said, the least sort of argued about of the penalties. And Kishna took this one, and this time he went the opposite way, because that's always one thing, right? When someone takes a penalty, and it's always the same penalty taker and the same keeper, you're always wondering which way do they go. This time Kishna went the other way than he did the first time. Tigers doubled their lead as they performed a quick counter-attack that ended up with Taneski pouncing on a save from Sam Brown to put it in the back of the net. Croatia half the deficit deep into stoppage time as Frank Greco pulled the ball back for Daniel Sparrow to smash a low ball into the bottom corner. Well taken there. And even deeper into stoppage time, Frank Greco from the free kick neatly chipped it over the wall for David Cecilia to pounce with a header in the back of the net, literally right at the death here. What a match! One of the matches of the season so far. So similar to that second round match at Deakin Stadium earlier in the year, it ended 3-2 with a lot of late drama and a couple goals in stoppage time as well. It's an important penalty for. It's an important point for Canberra, Croatia, as they need to start picking up points as they remain in sixth place. However, they are 6 points behind Monaro in fifth and 8 points behind the top four. So still a bit of work for Canberra, Croatia to do there to make up the gaps. Much better second half from Tigers compared to their first. They were more efficient in their play. They would be disappointed to drop 2 points in this one, with obviously the 4-2 lead going into stoppage time. However, despite only getting the draw, Tigers do go solely at the top of the table by 1 point as Olympic lost to Gungahlin, which we will mention later in the program. So, Michael, it's one of those matches. It's just absolutely insane. You can, let's just leave it this way. Before we go into stoppage time in a Tigers Croatia match, expect a couple of goals, because that's what we've seen the last 2 times they've played now.
Absolutely, Matt. It's always utter chaos when these two teams meet. You know, goals galore as it proved to be in that encounter, and it's just absolutely nuts. You can't count both of those teams out, especially like you said, when it goes into stoppage time. You've got to expect some more goals to be scored, and that's exactly what happened in this encounter. So well done to both teams on producing a great game of football. But nevertheless, Matt, we'll move on to the next NPL match that we had, and that was O'Connor Knights 3-0 against Tuggeranong United at O'Connor. It was a very assured performance from the O'Connor Knights in this match against Tuggeranong, Matt. Yoogali gave O'Connor the perfect start against one of his former clubs, obviously, after he found some space in the box to get off a header into the back of the net. And from that moment onwards, it obviously set O'Connor Knights on their way, having scored that early goal within the first 10 minutes. And it then saw them score their second goal 3 minutes before the break, after Yoogali provided an outrageous assist for Manda to score into an empty net. Matt, I don't know if you've seen the video of Guti's back heel assist for Real Madrid. You know, if any of our viewers have seen that assist as well, if you haven't, go check it out on YouTube, because it was pretty much exactly like that. So he gets the goal. Sorry, he gets played through on goal. Looks like as if he's about to shoot, but he actually back heels the ball for his teammate, who then knocks the ball into an empty net. So it was very good improvisation on Yoogagi's part for that goal. Great piece of skill, and obviously meant that O'Connor Knights doubled their advantage at a really good time in the match before the halftime break. So they went in at 2-0. And, you know, O'Connor, I felt like they certainly didn't waste any time in the second half, as Adams scored the third goal of the game in the 56th minute, Matt, with a tap in right in front of goal after an error from the goalkeeper. From that moment onwards, you know, they'll rue actually a couple of chances that they had to extend the scoreline beyond 3-0. You know, they had a goal that was ruled out for offside, and they also went on to hit the post a little bit later on as well. But obviously the scoreline stayed at 3-0, and that's how the game finished up. So obviously for Tuggeranong United, their struggles continue. Obviously they didn't find the back of the net as well, which won't boast them a lot of confidence. But for the O'Connor Knights, a 3-0 result, a clean sheet as well, and it sees them in third place on the NPL table with 17 points. Matt, do you want to get into our next encounter, or happy for you to share any thoughts on that result for O'Connor Knights before moving on?
Yeah, important point for O'Connor Knights, like you mentioned, in the table there, especially since the team in fifth place below them also got a victory, which I will get into now. Monaro Panthers with a massive 6-0 victory over West Canberra Wanderers. on Saturday night at the Riverside. Dylan Deep Jones, one of the new signings for Monaro, opened the scoring on his debut. No real better way for that to happen, is there? As he came in for the corner and placed the loose ball in the back of the net in the 19th minute. Rocco Stricker, after this, proceeded to score a hat-trick for the next 3 goals. All 3 goals, he was brilliantly placed, well-positioned, made the run to pounce on the opportunities that he found into the box. Stricker has now scored 8 goals for the campaign, which means he's the 3rd highest goal scorer on the NPL goal scoring charts, 1 behind Max Green and 2 behind Josh Galevsky. Just before halftime, Connor Minot Smith scored a scintillating free kick as he struck the ball over the wall at the near post. Go check it out. Another cracking goal. Minot Smith knows how to score some free kicks, that's for sure. Dominant first half from Monaro. Credit to Christian Nell in goals, though, for the Wanderers. He made numerous fantastic saves in this one. If it wasn't for him in that first half, arguably it could have been a lot more for Monaro. So Christian Nell in goals, yeah, definitely well done to him there. In the second half, Archie McGregor scored the only goal of that second half in stoppage time as he bundled it off a ricocheted, after a ricocheted shot into the back of the net. It was a better second half from the Wanderers, though. Definitely not their night, though, as Monaro in that first half just had their way. The Wanderers remain in 8th place, still yet to accrue their first points of the season. They still remain 3 points off Tuggies, who are in 7th. As mentioned before, very impressive display from Monaro, who continued their win-loss record. As Russ mentioned a couple times on the show, they looked on another level, though, in that first half from the Wanderers. It was an important victory because, as I mentioned before, they need to keep reach with the top 4. They're still in 5th place with 15 points and only 2 points off the O'Connor Knights. So a lot to play for Monaro there moving forward. Michael, what's our next matchup, and a match that we thought was going to be competitive in terms of the scoreline anyway?
No, most definitely thought that this was going to be sort of one of the most competitive matches going into this week, most recent weekend of fixtures, that's for sure, Matt. But it was certainly a shock result in terms of the scoreline. So Canberra Olympic 0, Gungahlin United 5, a huge win for the visitors on this occasion. Abbas, Max Green with a double, Gaspari and McLaughlin on the score sheet for Gungahlin United in this game. What a performance for Gungahlin United, and a statement victory as well against one of the teams that have been excellent to start the season in Canberra Olympic. So Abbas gave Gunners the lead early in the 6th minute in this one. He's decided to chance his arm and go forward, and it paid off with a neat left-footed finish into the far corner, and that made it 1-0 for Gunners. Green made it 2-0 in the 27th minute through taking down a beautiful touch before producing a nice finish when he was one-on-one with the goalkeeper. He then doubled his tally and scored his side's 3rd goal through a bit of a scruffier finish, to say the least, compared to his first goal, but it capped off a nice move from the Gunners outfit, and we all know how well they play football over there at Gungahlin United. In terms of, going into the second half, their dominance continued, Matt. It wasn't just for the first 45 minutes and they sort of took their foot off the gas. They continued with that intensity. And, in the second half, Gaspari made it 4-0 after a spectacular free kick from just outside the area to make it 4-0, leaving the keeper rooted to the spot. Beautifully found the far corner, and it was hit at such a pace that it would have made it difficult for any keeper to sort of make their mind up to decide to dive and try attempt to save a ball like that, because it was just hit with such pace and venom. McLaughlin rounded off the scoring, Matt, in the 79th minute with the 5th goal. Obviously, a goal against one of his former clubs as well back in the day. One-on-one with the keeper. He managed to sort of just slide the ball underneath the attempts of the keeper trying to prevent it going in from the back of the net, but it found its way under the keeper and sort of just bounced in the goal. So it really capped off a 5-star performance for Gungahlin United, scoring 5 goals, keeping the clean sheet as well. So that is a performance that they can be very, very happy with and proud of as they maintain their status in the top 4 of the NPL standings. Matt, do you want to get into our round 10 fixtures for the upcoming NPL action?
Yeah, and we've reached double digits now for the rounds of the NPL up to round 10 next week. We kick things off with West Canberra Wanderers against Canberra, Croatia, Saturday, June 17, 2:25 p.m. at Melrose Synthetic. Then we have Canberra Olympic against Tuggeranong United, Saturday, June 17, 3 p.m. at O'Connor Enclosed. Gungahlin against Tigers, Saturday, June 17, 3 p.m. at AS Grassfield 2. And then last up on Super Saturday of NPL fixtures, every team's playing. It is Monaro Panthers against O'Connor Knights, Saturday, June 17, 5:45 p.m. at the Riverside. And now for our NPLW segment of the show. We kick off with our Friday night offering this past weekend. Tuggeranong United against Canberra Olympic. 6-0 to Canberra Olympic in this one. Olympic began the match with 3 goals in the first half. First, it was a brace from Madison Keisha for the first 2 goals. This was her first NPLW senior goal as well for the 14-year-old. So congratulations to her for that. Olivia Gurney rounded out the scoring in the first half as she cut in from the wing and placed it at the far corner. To begin the second half, Madison Keisha scored again to make it a hat-trick for her. Had the ball in the outside the box and struck it at the far bottom corner. Nicole Jaloka rammed home the 5th goal after a bit of a back and forth from a corner. Rainey Niles was sent off in this one before the end of the match with a second yellow card. Elkare Tolu jumped highest for a really nice header to complete the scoring before the end of this match. An impressive victory for Canberra Olympic, and also an important one on the ladder. Due to the other results of the weekend, they are now solely in first place, 1 point above second place Belconnen United, and 3 points above tied for third place Canberra Croatia and Gungahlin United. So not the first time we're going to mention it, but very, very close, with 3 points separating the top 4 at the moment in NPLW. Not the best day at the office for Tuggeranong United, though, as they remain in 8th place with 3 points, 1 point still eluding them between them and 7th place West Canberra Wanderers. Michael, who do we have next up?
Next up, we have Gungahlin United, who managed to pick up a 3-1 win over ANUW FC. It was Chow with a double and Percival on the score sheet. For the home side and for the visitors, it was Douglas Oliveira. So it took a little time for the game to see a first real chance, but Chow produced a wonderful strike to give Gunners the lead from outside the box, Matt. It was a sensational goal for any team to open the account for a game. So she'll be very happy with that goal. And then obviously she managed to score her second goal 8 minutes later after a spot kick was awarded to Gunners, which she ultimately scored and converted. So it was 2-0 to Gungahlin at this point in the 40th minute. So a very good time and a crucial time to get that second goal of the game. You know, ANUW certainly held their own in this match, you know, but their chances of a comeback were harder once Percival struck in the 67th minute to make it 3-0 to Gungahlin United after she produced a fantastic header into the far corner. It was a really well-timed header from a cross that was played into the box, and she just managed to get the right amount of contact on the ball, which sort of fizzed into the far corner. But the visitors, you know, they managed to get themselves a consolation goal through Oliveira after a cross from the right side of the pitch that she put in towards the box, went towards the keeper, but unfortunately the keeper spilled it through her fingertips and went in to the back of the net. So it was the scoreline finished 3-1 for Gungahlin United in this match, Matt. And it means that they're in fourth place with 17 points, obviously tied with the likes of third placed Canberra Croatia and second placed Canberra Olympic. So it goes to show just how competitive and tight the NPLW is proving to be at this moment in time. Matt, what was our next match? Obviously, a huge match in terms of what was at stake, and the visiting outfit on this occasion got a very big win.
Yes, very big win for Belconnen United. Fresh off the heels of their Fed Cup victory as well. I was there calling this one with Jeremy, and Belco started the match with an impact, didn't they, as they opened the scoring in the 4th minute via captain Talia Backhouse, who stepped up from the spot kick and calmly placed it in the back of the net. Canberra Croatia leveled 24 minutes later as there was a bit of a scramble in the box for the ball. Rhiannon Fensom's first shot hit the post. However, she was able to grab the rebound, turn her marker, and placed it with the second attempt of the ball. Belconnen United took the lead just before halftime as Talia Backhouse placed a nice ball over the top of the defence for Riley Ewan, who ran down the wing and placed it across goal for Hattie Cram to finish off the play. Croatia weren't happy in the build-up to this one as they thought there was a handball from Bessie Reif-Muller before Backhouse got the ball. Referee Jacob Martin ruled otherwise, though. Belconnen United extended their lead, and ultimately the final goal of the game with 15 minutes to go as Bessie Reif-Muller ran on the end of a neat ball back heel from Alina Roberts to place it past the keeper. Very well built up goal there. Canberra Croatia had the chance from the spot kick as Brittany Palombi placed it for the bottom right corner. However, it hit the post and it rebounded off the back of the keeper and out. So that sort of summed up Canberra Croatia's afternoon as they hit the post something like, I believe it was 4 times in this encounter. They will probably feel they should have gotten more from this one on the moments alone. This loss means that Canberra Croatia drop to tied 3rd place with Gungahlin United on 17 points, as we mentioned before, and they lead on goal difference. However, Gungahlin do have the catch-up match, and I believe it's midweek as well, with the opportunity to go higher than the reigning league champions. Overall, though, huge victory for Belconnen United as they leapfrog Canberra Croatia into 2nd place, 2 points above them and only 1 point off 1st place Canberra Olympic, who are, of course, in 1st place. They also put themselves in a really nice position now of the very, very tight title race that we are seeing with the top 4 teams at the moment. And Jeremy also said in this one, I forgot how many games he said, but usually in the past insert number amount of games here, the first team to score in this encounter between Belco and Canberra Croatia in the NPLW is the team that wins it. And that happened again, once again. So the stats seem to be holding up at the moment. Big win for Belconnen United. It was also another big win for the CUA, Michael. Who did they beat in this one?
Yeah, it was, Matt. It was a big win for them over West Canberra Wanderers away from home. So a 3-0 win for them. Goals from Bowman, Christopherson, and McQueenie. So CUA, Matt, they continue their fine form so far this season with another win. Bowman gave them the lead through a fantastic free kick from outside the area. A real load of quality in that strike, Matt. So for those that haven't seen it, should go and check it out. It was a great goal, But in terms of just the first half overall, I thought, West Canberra Wanderers, they managed to make a good account of themselves with a decent performance going into the break, obviously only being 1-0 down. But when they came out for the second half, when CUA made it 2-0 after 68 minutes through Christopherson, when she produced a nice finish from the left into the far corner, that really sort of dampened West Canberra's hopes of potentially getting back into this match. And it was certainly made harder when McQueenie rounded off a solid performance for the Canberra United Academy after she placed the ball in off the crossbar following a nice cutback that was played into her path. So another disappointing result for West Canberra Wanderers, who can't seem to get their season up and running. We know how tough this competition is and how good all the sides are, but for CUA, they continue that good start to the year that we have been talking about, and they obviously just sit outside the top four, Matt, in the standings. So they are in 5th place on 13 points, 4 points adrift. So they're doing very, very well. They're very close, and they've just got to maintain those performances, and I'm sure that's what Matty Moore will want from his outfit. Matt, do you want to get into the round 10 fixtures for NPLW, please?
Yeah, of course. And MPLW fixtures for round 10 are as follows. West Canberra Wanderers against Belconnen United, Sunday, June 18, 12:45 p.m. at Melrose Synthetic. Next up is Canberra Croatia against Tuggeranong United, Sunday, June 18, 2:30 p.m. at Deakin Stadium. Next up is ANU WFC against Canberra Olympics, Sunday, June 18, 3 p.m. at ANU South Oval. And then we have the CUA against Gungahlin United, Sunday, June 18, 3 p.m. at Hawker Football Centre. So Super Sunday there with everybody playing in the MPLW on a Sunday.
Now, into some CPL action with our first encounter, Matt. Wagga City Wanderers 2, ANU 3. So a huge result for ANU on the road in this match. Plogenes with a double for Wagga City, and for ANU, it was Model and Manly with a double. So Wagga scored the only goal of the first half via the ever reliable Jake Polongas 20 minutes into the match. He managed to then score his brace to open the half, sending 7 minutes in. That was his 6th goal of the campaign, his side's 2nd top goal scorer. So it just goes to show the sort of form that he's in. ANU were not going to leave Riverina without a fight, though, Matt. And, they halved the deficit through Max Model 9 minutes later to make it 2-1. And then 5 minutes later, they managed to level the contest through Manly as he continued his scoring efforts. And he completed an incredible comeback for his side with 8 minutes remaining by scoring his 2nd goal in this match. And it just goes to show the incredible comeback, for ANU on this occasion, Matt. It's not easy ever coming back from 2-0 down away from home in Riverina, to say the least. So, it's an important win for them as they leapfrog Queanbeyan into joint 2nd place with Wagga on 15 points. And Wagga will be no doubt disappointed to give up the 2-goal lead and their 2nd place standing to ANU. However, they do have the edge on goal difference over the university side, and they now remain 4 points behind their Riverina rivals, Yoogali, who are top of the table. So it just goes to show how competitive this league is, Matt. And, it goes to show as well, even though Wagga having that 2-0 lead against ANU did not mean that match was over by any stretch of the imagination. So ANU did well to obviously come back, and they've put themselves right back in the mix to try and claim top spot and ultimately promotion. Matt, do you want to get into our next match? Because this was certainly a surprise result for a certain outfit, particularly on the road, which would have made things a lot tougher, but nevertheless, they got the 3 points.
Yeah, big victory for Canberra Juventus here, 3-1 over Belconnen United. It was Belco, though, that opened the scoring at McKellar Park from new signing Liam Ray, who joined from Tigers 29 minutes into this encounter. It was Canberra Juve, though, who would strike next to go level as Nathan Matthews scored in the 35th minute. Juve wouldn't stop there, though, as they were determined to pick up their 2nd victory of the season, scoring twice in the 2nd half to stun Belco away from home. The ever-reliable Nathan Duck scored in the 61st minute to give Juve the lead with his 6th goal of the campaign. The final goal was scored by Federico Proia to seal the victory for the CPL newcomers. Big loss for Belconnen United as they slip to 6th place. This is only, and they're only 3 points off the top 4, however. And they are now 8 points off the first place tabletoppers Yoogali. And this is also the Blue Devils' 3rd loss in a row. So not the best of form recently for Belco, but as mentioned, they aren't too far off that top 4. Huge victory for Jono Zolinato's side as they picked up their 2nd victory of the campaign. This is also important as they close the gap with as they keep the gap closed with White Eagles, and they tie with them, both tied in 7th place on points. However, they do trail a bit on goal difference. When you look at the table though, Michael, both of them are only 4 points behind Belconnen United, and they're both 7 points behind the top 4. Now, it might seem unlikely considering how both have started the season, but in their own team talks, they would be thinking it's not too far away from the top 4 for either of them with so much to go in the season. So, just looking at those points there after this victory from Canberra Juve, despite the start for them and White Eagles, considering how everyone's beaten everyone at the moment, you wouldn't be too surprised if either can upset a few teams and get themselves into that race. Regardless, though, well done to Canberra Juve. Well-deserved victory at McKellar Park.
Absolutely, Matt. And, moving on to our next encounter, it was Brindabella Blues 1, White Eagles 1. Gurney with the goal for the Blues and Lawrence with White Eagles. So Canberra White Eagles donned with some new signings in Ohio Ashikia, returning Jordan Keisha, Dean Tomeski, and Jack Bush, with some more to come, and that did not play on Saturday. So they opened the scoring in the 13th minute with a great piece of play, a nice ball over the top of the defense, out wide for Zach Lawrence, who neatly nipped the ball around his marker and ran around it, completed his run wide and placed it past the keeper at the far post. So it was a really nice goal there to give White Eagles the lead. Brindy's equalised 17 minutes later on the 30-minute mark after a nice piece of team play ended with David Gurney headering across goal for the right post. Another nice goal from the Brindabella Blues on this occasion. So overall, it was a very close game on all accounts, and it ended all square in the 1-1 draw. So the draw means for Brindis that they take over Belconnen by 1 point and are only 2 points off the top 4. So they're right within striking distance there, Matt, for the top 4. Whereas for White Eagles, they remain in 7th place, tied with Juventus, with an advantage on goal difference. However, like Matt mentioned before, they are only 4 points off 6th place Belconnen and 7 points off the top 4. So never say never with how competitive this league is proving to be, Matt. A couple of wins means you'll be right up there competing for the top 4, and who knows, even beyond that. So well done to both of those teams putting on a hard-fought performance. Obviously, none of those teams getting 3 points, which they would have really liked, but that didn't take away any of the quality that was displayed from both sides. Matt, do you want to get into our next match? A huge result and statement from the CPL league leaders against a very, very tough opposition.
Yeah, Yoogali continue their winning ways at home and just in general as well. They opened the scoring in the 9th minute with a nice piece of team play, which was ended by Darren Bailey cutting it back for Joe Priest to sort of nutmeg the keeper. Yoogali doubled their lead in the 36th minute as a very quick counter-attack from Yoogali punished Queanbeyan via Josh DeRossi, who completed that play. The Griffith Bay side scored again to make it 3-0 5 minutes into the second half due to another counter-attack. This time, Mason Donadell picked up the ball and ran very close to nearly the entire of the pitch to square it for Joe Priest to finish it for his brace. What a run from Donadell there. A chip from Marko Savkovic in the box, rebounded back for Nico Abbott to nicely strike Queanbeyan's first goal of the match with 21 minutes remaining in the encounter. Unfortunately for Queanbeyan, though, any chance of a comeback was ended abruptly as Joe Priest scored his hat-trick and Yoogali's fourth 2 minutes later. Ruben Donadell made a great run down the wing for this one, dribbled inside and squared it for Mason Donadell. Tough loss for Queanbeyan, though, as they lose their second match in a row and drop to fourth place, 1 point behind Wagga and ANU, and now 5 points off first place Yoogali. Yoogali extend their unbeaten run to 7 games. The last time they lost was against Queanbeyan City in round 2. They also continue their winning streak at Solomad Stadium. They haven't lost or drawn a game there. They extend their lead at the top of the table, as mentioned before, to 4 points over Wagga and ANU and 5 points over Queanbeyan. So Yoogali, Michael, are on an absolute roll and are at the summit at the moment of the CPL, the current standard bearers.
Yes, they are, but they're playing exceptional football at the moment, and the confidence within that group it's at an all-time high with how well they've played, and some of the results they've picked up as well, and some big results too, especially in this game against Queanbeyan, goes to show that, you know, they're a real threat to gain promotion to NPL this season. So I'm sure they're not going to want to let that slip, and they'll want to continue this form for as long as they can until the end of the season. But Matt, I'll get into the CPL round 10 fixtures before we sign off for episode 82 today. Wagga City Wanderers will play host to Canberra Juventus Saturday, June 17 at 2:15 at Gissing Oval. We then have a big clash between Queanbeyan City and ANU, Saturday, June 17th, 3 p.m. at High Street. Canberra White Eagles will take on league leaders Yoogali, Saturday, June 17 at 3 p.m. at Woden Park Enclose. Before lastly, it's Belconnen United up against the Brindabella Blues, Saturday, June 17th, 3 p.m. at McKellar Park. So some really good fixtures in this upcoming round for CPL, Matt.
Yeah, look, there certainly is, and we mentioned how competitive it is at the moment in CPL. Everyone can beat everyone, so I'm really looking forward to some of those matches there, and some of these matches as well are sort of near must-wins in terms of how much they can be there right at the end. All right, that is us done for episode 82 of the Canberra Football Show. Wrapping up everything around 9. Michael, any last words as we leave, besides you still being down from Inter's loss in the Champions League final?
Well, don't forget Man United's loss as well. I'm still not over that too. But look, I'm really looking forward to some of the fixtures across the 3 leagues this coming weekend, Matt. Obviously, the one that we just touched on with sort of Queanbeyan and ANU will be a really good one. Obviously, I think White Eagles against Yoogali as well will be a great match too. Obviously, White Eagles looking to get themselves up the table in and around that sort of top 4 picture. And we've obviously got, you know, I think a great game between Monaro and O'Connor Knights in the NPL out there at Riverside. So that's at 5:45 as well. So you can catch one of the earlier games at 3 p.m. and then make your way over to Riverside to watch Monaro and O'Connor. And for NPLW, you know, there's some great games going on there as well. CUA versus Gungahlin United for me will be one of the ones to keep an eye on too. So some great fixtures coming up, and can't wait to break it down next time on the show.
Certainly there's a lot of matches to look forward to. That was episode 82 of the Canberra Football Show. Enjoy your weekend, everybody, and more importantly, enjoy the football.